Hello, my name's Hayley and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know before going bikepacking. So for our trip we were in Portugal. We went in July 2019. So for the first section, for transporting the bike by plane, usually people have bike boxes that are worth about €200, but for our trip we got cardboard boxes for free off our local bike shop. We saved €200 there. The other thing is, if you have one of those fancy bike boxes, you more than likely have to fly out of the same airport, but for our trip we flew into Lisbon and we flew out of Porto. So it just meant that we needed to get bike boxes in Porto from one of the local shops there. Basically, when we were transporting them with the bike boxes, I asked people who travelled with bikes before and everyone was kind of saying, be careful, like your bike could be damaged, they're not handling them the best on the airlines and all this kind of thing. But our bikes were perfect both journeys. Yeah, basically what we did was we removed the pedals, kind of dismantled the whole bike, and got insulation, like pipe insulation, and just wrapped that around the frame of the bike, and then duct tape. We just used so much duct tape and that held everything together, and then we just made sure that everything that was in the box wasn't freely roaming, duct taped everything together or put them in bags. What we actually did on the way, so we had old pillows, so we stuffed the pillows in with the bikes and then we just left them there when we got to Lisbon, which is a bit annoying for like the host to kind of get rid of, but that's kind of what we had to do. Yeah, so that was how we transported our bikes with the plane. And then, well, in Portugal in particular, we didn't know how friendly the trains were towards cyclists, so we were kind of nervous, and the websites weren't really giving us much information. However, they were so lovely. All the train ticket inspectors, everything, they were trying to help us. Trains wouldn't take off. If they saw us coming with the bikes, they'd wait and then like allow us to get onto the train, which was great when we needed it. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend, like, you know, using a train in certain situations if you need to. They're fairly sound and they don't charge you extra for the bikes either, which is good. Yeah, so they usually have a carriage at the front or the back, and it'll have a little bike symbol on that carriage, and then you just know that you can bring your bike onto that one. Yeah, so that's basically my tips on transporting your bike. Moving on to must-have gear. So I'd recommend having a tool bag anyway, having all the appropriate Allen keys and tools that you need to build your bike back up when you arrive there, and then too, in case you have a breakdown, always have a repair kit, multiple tubes. I actually had to change my tube twice, so I had one, and then when we hit another town I actually bought another tube just in case, because I just had to use mine. I ended up having to use the second one as well. Yeah, so make sure that you have a pump for your tubes and tires. and then make sure that the pump that you have fits the thread of the tube. I'd recommend bringing a set of tyre levers. They're quite cheap as well in the shops. They were great for us. Well, for me, Sean's tyres had holes all over them and his tube still stayed intact the whole time, so I will link his down below because they were incredible. They lasted the whole journey. Bring a good lock. I'll get more into that in the safety section. Bike shorts with padding, because these will change your life. Because the roads are not cycle friendly, so they're good to have a bit of extra protection down there. And then the next thing I'd recommend are panniers. I had two and they evenly distributed the weight across my bike, so I didn't really have an issue there. And they were 25 litre each, so I had 50 litres of gear. And then with transporting my stuff over there, I was able to fit all my gear from the panniers, roll the panniers up and put them into my 30 litre backpack. And that's the Osprey Tempest 30 litre. I'd recommend this bag, it's incredible. I'd recommend bringing multiple bottles of water. You're going to need them if you're cycling in the heat especially, or just in general. On top of water bottles, I'd bring electrolytes so you can resupply the salts to your body, and it makes drink water taste nicer anyway. So yeah, we bought a bulk of them off wiggles.co.uk, and I'll link that as well because they're way cheaper on this website than they are in your local bike shop or whatever. And I'd also recommend bringing plastic bags. So I had these I think they were 25 litre, probably just basic Ziploc plastic bags, and it was to help me separate my clothes. Now obviously dry bags as well would be perfect for this, but I'd only one large dry bag, so I was just using a large plastic bag for my clothes, and then I had one for my dirty clothes, so I separated them. And then once we got to the town and we had enough clothes to wash, we'd do our laundry in one of those laundry shops. And yeah, then lastly, I'd recommend bringing rain gear. Just making sure that you have dry bags, that your camera equipment or whatever your valuables are that you're bringing are going to be safe if it rains. We were going to Portugal in July. We thought that it was going to be sunny and lovely and warm, but it was raining. It was sunny as well. It would be extremely humid and not sunny at all, and just you never know what weather you're going to have regardless of where you are. So I'd recommend bringing all of them. Moving on to bike setup, I kind of touched on it in my last point. Basically, 2 panniers in the back, a water bottle holder. Lights are so important to make sure you have front and back lights, especially if it's a dark day. You might want to have them on, especially if you're on back roads. Then also a lock, make sure you have a good lock. Sean and I had the same setup, 2 panniers, a backpack, that's it, and it worked out perfect. I'll link the panniers that we had down below too, and they were amazing, and yeah, I can't wait to use them again whenever that may be. So the next area I'll touch on is safety. Bring a good lock with you, because even though you might feel safe or you're in a really safe place, things will still get stolen. We were in Figueira Falls and we were locking our bike up to the pole outside the hotel, and it was a really nice area, and someone stole Sean's lights. First of all, if you're out there stealing people's lights, that is so dangerous and so disrespectful to somebody, because then they have to cycle at risk because you were too selfish to go and buy your own light. I don't understand how anybody thinks that's fair, to take someone's safety away from them. There's just nothing okay about that. So if you're watching this and you've done this, then return that light or do something good about it. Make up for your mistake. And then also on that note, when your bike is locked up outside and you're leaving it, make sure you have one of those locks that we use, a kryptonite lock, which is the D-shaped lock, and it also had a cable lock with it, so you hook the cable around the 2 wheels, and then and the bike, so the whole bike is secured, especially if you've got quick release wheels, our bikes do, and these were very handy to have. We shared our locks, and they were always secured when they were locked up together when we had to leave them. The most important safety element is to ensure that you have a helmet and that you're wearing it all the time. I don't need to go any further into this. I just hope that everyone would wear a helmet when cycling. Yeah, and then again, just to prepare for harsh weather, like the wind. One day when we were leaving Sierra, the wind picked up and it was supposed to reach like 65 kilometers an hour, which we were in like open plan cycling, and we decided to cycle to a train which was like, I don't know how many kilometers away, like maybe like 20 or something, and then we got the train the rest of the way to our next destination, because it probably would have been too dangerous. We'd never really done anything like that before, so we didn't know if we were being prepared for it or not, so we just decided to cycle some of the way, get the train to the rest. In Portugal they don't have a cycle option on Google Maps, so I'd recommend using the road, like as if you were driving, because we were using the walking route and it was so dangerous. They were bringing us all over the place, places that we didn't need to be going and places that were impossible to even bring a bike, and there were so many of these times, and then we eventually decided to use the car option and we found it so much easier. We were on dual carriageways for a lot of it, which was nice because the roads were a lot nicer to cycle on than some of the other roads we were on, and then that was fine. But make sure when you are using the road to turn off motorways, because you obviously don't want to bring your bike on a motorway. So this one was like we didn't even think of before we went, but particularly Portugal, the accommodation there was built so long ago that it's not obviously user friendly for cyclists or people with bikes. So we just booked like everywhere we were staying before we went, or like along the way, and a lot of the places were like up on the third floor. There would be no lift. The staircase would be like this narrow, and you'd have to bring your bike and all your gear up to and into like a really small little apartment. This was grand, like we did it, like it was fine, but like it was awkward. I would recommend maybe if you are booking in advance to email them and see if you can get one on like the ground floor, like the lower floor, and then maybe ask if there's anywhere to store bikes as well. Obviously, to avoid all of this, camping would be so much easier if you're into that. We are into it, we just didn't do it for this particular trip. And my last section that I'm gonna briefly go through is to enjoy every minute of it. Like even if you're like in the middle of the flipping even if you were in the middle of some farmer's land, which is where we were, on a dirt track in the countryside in Portugal, and like you're kind of going, I have so much further to go, there's rocks all over this and I have road bike tires, like how am I gonna do this? It's still such good fun and you're gonna just enjoy it. Like you gotta enjoy it or you just have a shit time. Remember like that, like when you look back you're just gonna want to do it again. It's so much fun. So I hope you found this video useful. If you've got any questions or if you've got any tips for us for our next cycle tour, please leave a comment. I would love to hear them. See you in the next one.